with that said, it's been 3 hours. We're going to move on to item number 7, rules and regulations with resolution. Gonna let Nathan take on.
Sorry. Thank you, Chair Gokin. Nathan Schmidt, Transportation Planning and Mobility Manager. Again, this is the Traffic Commission rules and regulations. I'll make this as brief as possible. Recommended action is to approve Traffic and Mobility Commission Resolution 2020-1 to adopt the procedural rules and regulations for the Traffic and Mobility Commission. So just in terms of background, Chapter 2.15.090 of the Carlsbad Municipal Code requires that meetings be held pursuant to the rules contained in Chapter 1.20 of the Carlsbad Municipal Code and any additional rules and regulations developed by the city clerk working in conjunction with the board or commission. Just an overview of the rules which are outlined in detail in your staff reports and in the attached resolution. So first, it goes over the types of meetings. So there are 2 types. The first are regular. So these will be held the first Monday of the month at 5 p.m. Second type is special meetings, and these are called by the chairperson by a majority of the vote or by the staff liaison, and a 24-hour notice is required for these. Meeting agenda is set by staff liaison or a majority vote of the commission. In regards to correspondence, received specific to agenda items shall become part of the record. Correspondence are not read aloud unless requested by majority vote, and sufficient copies of correspondence shall be provided to each commissioner with 3 additional copies for the public. The order of business, which is outlined there, begins with the call to order. Second is the roll call, approval of minutes, public comments, departmental reports, public comments, city traffic engineer comments, traffic and mobility commission comments, and adjournment. One item of note I wanted to point out with this specifically is staff did intend to include an item here for setting up a consent agenda for the Traffic and Mobility Commission. However, this was not included in the resolution. It was a clerical oversight. So this is something we would, just so the commission knows, something we would like to bring back to the commission on a future agenda. We would need to agendize that. And really the intent behind that is similar to what the city council does for consent items. It allows quicker review of the more straightforward items without any type of staff presentation, unless directed by the commission, and just a way to make our agenda items a little more efficient and abbreviate the meetings as much as we can. In regards to the city traffic engineer comments, this portion, city staff will provide an updated status report on any city council actions taken on items related to the commission, the work plan since the last commission meeting, other pending mobility related items to be addressed by city council with or without prior commission review, and unresolved requests from the commission. And the final portion for Traffic and Mobility Commission comments. This is the time, it's an opportunity to provide information on mobility issues, and commissioners may request future agenda items that are consistent with the approved work plan be placed on future meeting agenda. With that, the recommended action is outlined here, is to adopt the procedural rules and regulations for the Traffic and Mobility Commission and approve the Traffic and Mobility Commission Resolution 2020-1.
Okay, thank you, Nathan.
Thank you.
Who's got questions or comments? Okay, I see one. Okay, Commissioner Linke.
So the commission voted at our July 2019 meeting to refer a set of rules and regulations that I had drafted to the city clerk. And the vast majority of the items that were in those rules and regulations have now been incorporated into the communications plan and these rules and regulations. But the one thing that's still missing is recordings of our meetings. And I'm just wondering, did staff ever ask the city clerk's office about the prospect of recording our meetings and then posting them on the city website?
Yes, the city clerk's office has reviewed the rules and regulations, and they are aware of your request to include those as well. And if the commission does desire to add that to the rules and regulations, we can do so. Just the only caveat there is there will need to be some financial considerations, on the part of staff, just with the additional cost required for the videotaping. But that is something that we would need to work out.
Okay, I mean, I think in the interest of transparency, the incremental costs associated with doing that would be small. So I would move that we add video recording and posting on the website to our rules and regulations.
Chair, may I chime in for a second to add a perspective? So one of the things with the discussions is that if we are going to move forward with videotaping this commission meeting, is the consistency across the board with the other boards and commissions. And so this is something that the city clerk is taking a look at. I think Schmidt had mentioned that there will be some financial costs and considerations with regards to doing that. And I would just take this moment and time to perhaps go back and check with the city clerk to see if it was included in this year's operating budget, which we are going to be discussing tomorrow. My sense is that because of COVID and the financial situation that we are at, in which the city has been tightening our belts in many ways to make sure that we can continue providing the quality service that we have, is to take that into consideration. We don't have that information at the moment unless Mr. Schmidt can provide that. So I just did not want the commission to think that it was just minimal or it's something that we can take into consideration. Just please be advised that we are in a different financial situation at this point. Thank you.
Thank you. I do agree with Commissioner Linke. I know, and it's the public. I have had the requests and seen comments about the public wanting to see the meetings, and I totally agree. I also see the staff side that they're not yet at the point that they, especially right now with the financials. So it's kind of a catch-22. I would suggest to wait a couple more months to see what's going to happen with the economy and with the city. But I agree on both sides. Commissioner Fowler, did you have a comment? No. Okay, does anybody else have a comment? Commissioner Linke?
Yeah, so it's been over a year that we've been discussing this and nothing has happened. So I would like to see it happen. But the alternative is I have already started posting our videos on YouTube. So just be aware I'm going to be posting the full video of all of our meetings. I capture the video and post it. So all you have to do is go to YouTube and search for Carlsbad Traffic Commission, and it'll be right there. And I plan to continue to do that. It's easy with the Zoom meetings because I can just capture the live stream. If we go back to the council, I actually had somebody record one of our meetings too, and we'll be posting that. So just in the interest of transparency, I'm going to just go ahead and do that unless the attorney thinks that there's any problem with that.
The Brown Act provides that, as you say, Commissioner Linke, that people can film meetings even under the previous way, the pre-pandemic way of doing things. So, moving forward, people are free to do this. Now we're in the pandemic side of things, and I think that the equivalent of filming a meeting in pre-pandemic is about this, what you described. Recording right now what's being live streamed, and what people did with the recording before is kind of the same as what you're doing with it now. So I don't see an immediate Brown Act concern with what you described.
Okay, and I also want to raise, because it's related to the rules and regulations, that was my impression that all communications that are submitted to the commission should be made a part of the public record, and that we were going to follow city council practice, but we're not following city council practice, which is to post links to the communications on the website so they're publicly available, and then putting them as part of the permanent public record in the public record system. So if I go back and look, there are many of our staff reports from our previous things that don't include external correspondence from me and others. And so I think we need to do a review of that and make sure that we're following, we can have rules and regulations, but it's important that we actually follow them and follow the city council practice on that.
If I could just chime in really quickly as to public records, if there's any kind of communication between a member of the public and any of the commissioners, that communication, whether it's a post on Facebook, whether it's an email, a text message, if it substantively relates to a subject matter that would come before the commission or that falls within the commission's purview, that communication very well will rise to the level of being a public record, whether it's identified on the city's website or not. So I hear you, Commissioner, when you say, hey, we wanted to get it all on the website, but I do want to assure you the Public Records Act applies to any communications between the public and commissioners, whether it's on the website or not. So folks would just have to request a copy of that, and one would be provided by the city.
Right, but the city council practice is to include it with the staff report. So our communications plan and our rules and regulations say that we're going to follow city council practice. So I'd appreciate if we actually do follow the city council practice so that we have full transparency of everything that's submitted. And I hope to work with maybe staff over the next month or so and clean up all of the things that have been left out.
Okay, I think I saw Commissioner Hunter first. Did you have a comment?
Yeah, just real quick, putting my 2 cents on there too. I'm right where you are, Mona. And also with Commissioner Linke. In this day and age, we should be able to get video up and running on this stuff. But right now, I kind of defer to Paz. We're kind of in an unusual time with unusual budgets, and I think we ought to be part of the whole process where all the commission meetings are videotaped and put up on there. So it's kind of a mixed emotion on where to go at this point. So just echoing your thoughts, Mona. I'm up.
Thank you. Commissioner Fowler, you have comments?
Yeah, I have a question for Mr. Contreras. So you say, so I post stuff on Facebook a lot and get into community discussions that may have something to do with traffic, maybe tangentially. But I have, for example, posted my feelings about the College Boulevard closure, or not closure, but continuation. So what are there? I'm certainly allowed to do that. I mean, right? And it was post vote. I'm aware that you're not supposed to make a decision on items until they actually happen and all of that. But am I restricted on what I can say after a matter has been voted on, or answering questions about it, or making comments about it?
So let me I can do two things right now. I can briefly answer and then allow for a more robust discussion, because I think we are starting to venture off of the agenda.
Okay, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. But I'm happy.
I don't want to be kicked off the discussion. So,
well, let me just say that as to public records, I'm happy to make a presentation to the we can agendize that if we feel that it's necessary. Or Commissioner Fowler, I can talk to you offline. And I used to do trainings in National City on public records. Puts a lot of people to sleep, but other people find it interesting, and I'm more than happy to talk to you offline about that.
I actually think that's a great idea. I personally feel I will find it very informational and educational, and especially now with the COVID and everything being online and out there. I think if you could put on the agenda a training for us, I totally support it. We can also just get the input on the other commissioners. If you just by raise your hand, you would find that interesting. I think that would be good to know. Anyone else found it interesting to learn about the Brown Act or the what we can say and what we can't say online?
Specifically, I'm offering to do a Public Records Act training, and I will go back and speak with Celia and make sure that, we do this properly. But, I used to provide Public Record Act training that goes into the social media realm. So,
Anyone interested in it? Okay. So it seems that we have a majority. So that would be really great. So thank you so much. Now going back to the agenda item, do we have any other comments on item number 7 from commissioners? Okay, I don't see anybody. Do we have a motion? Commissioner Johnson, Vice Chair, you want to make a motion on your last meeting?
Thanks. I make a motion, we approve the Commission Resolution 2020-1.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Please note, Vice Chair Johnson made the motion for staff recommendation on item 7, and Commissioner Hunter seconded. Can we go for a vote?
Yes. Commissioner Perez,
Yay.
Commissioner Linky,
I'm gonna vote no, and I'd like the minutes to reflect that the reason for my no vote is that we're not taking seriously posting recordings of the meetings on the city website.
Okay.
noted. Commissioner Fowler,
Yes.
Commissioner Pensiers,
Yes.
Commissioner Hunter,
Yes.
Vice Chair Johnson,
Yes.
Chair Golkin.
Yes. Please note, it passed 6-1 with Commissioner Linky making his comments about why he voted no for it.